Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears here, and I'm here to share a card I made using the Pretty Pink Posh XOXO stamp set. I'll be adding the stamp set to a watercolored background full of reds and pinks, and this card is perfect for Valentine's Day or just to send a card of love. So let's start out by taking a look at the XOXO stamp set. You can see it has the large XOXO, and the letters are made up of miniature chocolate candies. And there are also some larger chocolate stamps, as well as some sentiments that say, Happy Valentine's Day, sweetest wishes, and hugs and kisses. And the coordinating dies are also available for this stamp set. So I'm going to start out by coloring up the large XOXO stamp. I went ahead and stamped it out onto some Bristol smooth cardstock using some Versafine Onyx black ink, and I'm using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens to color up all of those tiny chocolate pieces. I find the easiest way to color a large stamp set like this is to find the chocolates that are all of the same and color them all in the same color, and then move on to the next set of chocolates and color those in the same color markers, and continue in that process until the entire stamp set is colored. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to music, and I'll be back shortly to finish making this card. So after I color the stamp set, I go ahead and take out my coordinating dies and I die cut the large XOXO, and then I'll set those letters aside. Now I'm ready to work on my background, and I have a piece of Bristol smooth cardstock that I cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm going to use my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers to create my watercolored background. And I'm going to add the colors from dark to light. I'm going to be using reds and pinks. So at the very top, I colored the deep red color across the cardstock, and underneath that I colored the red color, and underneath that is the Carmine red, followed by pink, and then I will color peach pink and sugar almond pink at the very bottom. And notice that I did skip some sections and left some white areas in between all of those colors, and that's because these are watercolor markers and the colors will blend nicely from one to the next. So I'm just taking a water brush pen with some water, and I'm starting at the very top and I'm blending across the cardstock, so from left to right, and then I will do that all the way down the entire piece of cardstock. And you can see how beautifully all of those colors blend together. Now, even though I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, I'm sure that any other watercolor markers would work with this technique. So anything that's water-based, if you find some colors that are dark to light and use a water brush and spread those colors from the top to the bottom, you will get a nice gradient throughout that cardstock. Next, I'm going to take a gold pigment ink pad and put it here on my mat, and I'm going to spritz it with water and mix the ink up with the water just so that I can move that ink around a little bit better. And then I'm just going to flick that gold ink onto the background, and that's going to add some nice gold sparkle to the background. Now, because this is a watercolor background and I used a water brush to spread that ink, I do need to dry this with a heat tool before I work on it. So you can either dry it with a heat tool or you can set it aside and let it dry, but you do need to have it fully dry before you start adding your stamps and dies to the background. And I did dry it off camera, and once dry, you can now see all of that beautiful ink and sparkle added to that background. So I'll set that aside and I'm going to work on my sentiment. I have a piece of vellum and I added some powder to my vellum because I'm going to do some gold embossing with the stamp that says Happy Valentine's Day. So I'm just lining my stamp up. I am going to ink it up with the Versamark ink. I'll go ahead and press that down onto the vellum. And then next I'm going to sprinkle some gold embossing powder over top of that stamped sentiment, and then I'll use my heat tool and heat set that. Next, I'm going to trim that sentiment down with some scissors, and now I'm ready to put my card together. So you can see that I also have a piece of gold metallic cardstock that I cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and I'm going to add my watercolored background right to the top of that. Now, watercolor backgrounds do not always lay flat once you add the water to the cardstock and then dry it. So I'm just adding an acrylic block to the top just to hold that down until the glue dries. And once it's dry, I'll remove the acrylic blocks and then I will go ahead and add my stamp set. So my XOXO stamp, I'm going to do the XO on the top and another one at the bottom, and I'm going to put the Happy Valentine's Day right in the middle of the two XO stamps. And I'm going to add a tape runner to the back of the vellum, and I'm going to use the tape runner as my adhesive for the vellum rather than liquid glue because the liquid glue will show through the vellum. So I go ahead and add that layer to an A2 size card base, and I just love the vibrant colors of this background as well as how the gold cardstock matte brings out the gold in the sentiment as well as the gold ink that I flicked onto the background. So I hope you liked my card today, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.